So,
Excellent. I think using the word "crashed" my painting stream with all the technical issues we had there might have been a other word that we could have used.
you say that. I'm quite enjoying the irony of it.
Right. Well, we are
That's
live.
huge.
It's big, isn't it? It is big. Oh, actually. Oh yeah, no, I don't want to share my screen. You're going to have to work off of the slightly delayed version, but
no, that's okay. I can live with that.
This isn't going to be a dynamic. I'm going to start the rather large exercise of painting this guy. He's quite big.
I think when we sort of said huge machines, I remember when we first during the campaign, when I first kind of. I was in the video where we kind of showed off to people. We'd shown them renders before and said, look, this is how big this thing's going to be compared to a Hunter. And it wasn't until I actually went, okay, here's the update video, and actually pulled the machine and put it on the table in front of me. It was huge. It was massive.
Yeah.
And I think that's when people first realised the scale of the huge machines. These are big miniatures.
Absolutely enormous. Right, so I don't know if this is going to be the most exciting of videos, but I thought it might be interesting. I always start a lot of videos with the model already primed, and I thought it'd be useful to kind of show you how I go through it. I am going to use an airbrush, which just gives me a little bit more control, and also means I don't have to go out in the garage and do it. But yeah, I guess we'll make a start. I'm in two minds about whether to do anything on the base before I paint or do something on the base after I paint. I think I probably ought to do something now, otherwise my inherent laziness is going to kick in and that base will just never get done. So let's just use a bit of super glue and get a little bit of sand on there. It doesn't need to be too much. This is a gaming piece rather than a display piece for me. That's because I'm lucky enough to have two Thunderjaws sitting on my desk. One of which is a highly top secret, never to be seen in public pre-production sample. This, on the other hand, is a production proof, all the way from China. So I don't believe this is final material, but I do believe that this is out the final mould. So we get these sent over once the moulding. They use these to kind of get our approval on the moulding. And then obviously if it works with that, so this is some kind of a resin rather than the final kind of PVC plastic that it's going to be in. Alright, just wait for me super glue to come down. I've got a question, how many pieces do the Thunderjaw and other machines come in before being assembled?
Depends on the machines. I know most of the smaller machines, those ones tend to be a single, as in they're already pre-assembled, so they're not something. Yeah, they're not something that the backers will need to worry too much about. Obviously, in terms of how many pieces there actually are, that's a slightly different question. So obviously, as much as they might be glued together, before they actually arrive with people, I imagine most of them, not very, very few of the miniatures are single-piece models. The Hunters, I think, maybe, and even a couple of those aren't. Outside of that, a handful. In terms of the huge machines, I know the Stormbird, for example, comes.
The wings are separate, aren't they?
Yeah, so the main trunk, the base, and then both of the wings. So that one's there. I know the Thunderjaw comes in several pieces. It's got an instruction book in it. I believe it's the rocket, the disc launchers on the side.
Right,
that come off on that one.
But they'll just be push fit. They won't be glue or anything, will they?
No, you won't need to glue any of this stuff together. What's really interesting about even the Stormbird, which has got, obviously because by nature of the wings they're kind of quite long pieces that you'd think the weight would simply naturally make them fall out, or sort of pull them out. They stay in place really well when you sort of click them in.
Yeah.
I saw for example, we literally just push click them in when we were at Gorilla, and I know that a lot of members of staff there sort of picked it up to have a look at it and so on. And I don't remember the wings falling out at any point there.
It's physics. So. It's the same reason. It's the same thing that rock climbers use when they go up. Is that they just, if it goes at an angle, then it kind of creates its own little, like a really strong joint. The weight actually works itself into the joint to give you a really strong base.
That makes sense.
It's all about leverage. Right, so just to explain what's going on, and I hope that the camera work is going to be sufficient. I might pull the camera back a little bit Although I will need to double check and make sure I haven't got anything on my desk that people shouldn't see before I do that. Otherwise I will get into trouble. So super glue on the base, smeared it over randomly, poured a little bit of kiln dried sand on. That gives us a little bit of a texture to work with. Let's just capture this sand back into the bottle. Doing the dangerous things live. Sand into a bottle.
Just while you're having fun and putting sand all over the floor.
Yeah.
To explain to anybody who missed the start, the reason why I think you might need to pan back is the size of this model.
Yeah, let's just go back a little bit. There we
go. If you're used to painting sort of small hunter size stuff or that sort of thing, painting this is a very different proposition.
Yeah. So what we're going to do is we're going to go with a Zenithal highlight. I've got a reference image, which I don't know if it's official or not, but it looks pretty official. But it might be from a fan site. But this is the color scheme that I'm going to go with. What I like about this is if I actually shrink it down and put it here, it looks like it's on my desk, which is quite fun.
But that's official. It's just the way that it actually is coloured in terms of the actual back of the shading and stuff. So yeah, that's absolutely fine. I think the only one that exists outside of that in official canon is Redmore, which is like a celebrity Thunderjaw.
Right. Okay. Well, let's just leave him up there, and then he looks like he's part of the action.
It's a lovely spectator.
Yeah. So normal Horizon Zero dual model for reference. Thunderjaw. It is absolutely huge. So super happy with the size of that. So this is the airbrush that I use. Is an Iwata HPC Plus. Airbrushes are quite personal things. I've tried many supposedly decent airbrushes, and this was the one that really worked well for me. There's lots of features on this that I like, not least of which is I can't undo the nozzle to show you one of the features I like. Let me just quickly do that again off camera, otherwise people will be phoning up saying, why are you using bolt cutters on your airbrush? So the nozzle comes off and you can clean, this is the tip that the airbrush comes in, and you can see it releases paint when I pull the trigger back. That goes on. It's got a nice flat end. So I'm just using one for all acrylic. This model has already been sprayed grey, I think, because like I say, I think this was a resin piece, so we're gonna have to be a little bit careful. And I'm gonna run this through medium pressure, and I'm just gonna basically get a base coat on. I don't know why that isn't coming through as strong as I like it to be.
For those of you who necessarily aren't familiar with airbrushes and so on, and this appears to be witchcraft, I'm with you on that one. I'm not yet. My painting skills are not yet leveled up to airbrushes. But you obviously can undercoat. You can undercoat any models with something outside of an airbrush. Don't feel like you have to. Start using an airbrush for this.
So this piece would probably be fine to use like a rattle can with. I'm just going to give it a good old airbrushing. For some reason I'm not getting a lot of flow of paint through here, but we'll persevere. Maybe it'll fix itself. So I'm focusing on the undersides. I want to make sure I get in the crooks and the crannies, and it's all about the direction that I'm airbrushing this piece from. But yeah, I thought it'd be useful to kind of show, and it also gives people the ability to see up close some of the detail as I'm going through.
We have a question. When's our next live playthrough video scheduled for?
I think we're nominally going to aim for Wednesday, I believe, was the next scheduled time I could get it in. Yeah,
that certainly fits here. I'm really looking forward to that. I think our hunters are feeling really doody about now in terms of the extra amount of equipment we've got.
We've got some good stuff going on. We've definitely got some good stuff going on. Might even be brave and try and do a red, or maybe just do another orange. I don't know.
Well, we've done. Let's see. We're going to have one red encounter, one level 3 encounter in our next row of cards.
Yeah.
So and then 2 level 2s. So it depends on how brave we're feeling, and depending on what card we actually get. So that's going to be interesting. It's also worth pointing out, red isn't always red encounter cards or encounter difficulty isn't always based in terms of how ferocious the enemies you're fighting, you're hunting might be. It's also how likely they are to kind of bolt or run away, how difficult the encounter might be.
Right.
So it could be just a big herd of grazers, and we have to bring down a lot of them in order to succeed.
That
might be quite difficult.
I'm definitely not getting a lot of flow. I wonder if I've just not got a lot of paint in there.
So we've got a few questions coming up. So obviously I'll quickly blast through them while you're having some fun with the airbrush, if you don't mind. So morning, Nick. Glad you're joining us. Also, hello, Dumpinator. Nice to see you. You've been a familiar face for all of these streams, which is cool. I join you in being surprised by the size of this model whenever I actually see it. It's huge. There's no other words for it. Impossibly, somehow, the Stormbird is even bigger. I have a fond story of when we first sent off the spec to our production partners in China for the Stormbird, and they came back and said, "You've sent through the wrong scale. Like this miniature's far too big." Like, no, that's the actual size of the miniature. Which
They're
is
like, we're going to have to get a bigger factory just to make this model.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, we're joined by Russ as well. Russ Charles, our sculptor.
Russ Charles.
Everybody be nice to Russ. He actually made this, I believe. As in, he actually sort of did, adapted the stuff we have from Gorilla and actually made the Thunderjaw. I'm sure Russ will correct me in the chat.
I'm sure
otherwise, where have we got? Hi, Bile. Just got here once now we can buy this figure. We absolutely can, as part of, if you're a Horizon Zero Dawn backer already, then the board game, I should say, then you certainly can do. The Thunderjaw expansion is an add-on which you're able to add into your Pledge Manager, which is open now. If you are not a backer, unfortunately the late pledges are now closed, so you would be needing to wait until a little bit later on, early next year, I think, mid next year, I believe actually, when this is actually released. So it's certainly something that's coming to the market. I just can't tell you exactly when. Mostly I need my colleagues in production for that one.
Yeah, I know all our commercial guys are chatting with distributors excitedly all over the world about what this product is and when it's going to be hitting the stores. So if people did miss out on the Kickstarter or were waiting for retail to support their local gaming store, then there will be more news on that shortly.
Yeah, absolutely. I know with I think just about everybody we've talked to is super excited about this product. There's a lot of people who are very excited about when this actually lands with people, so yeah, that's really encouraging. So quick thing. Yep. So we've got a question. Do we need? Is it paintable with just brushes, or is an airbrush necessary? You can do it with brushes. It might take a little bit longer, given the size of it, of course. But
I'm not going to lie. The bit that I'm doing at the moment, I kind of wish I was using a rattle can for. Rattle can is like slang for it's just an aerosol can, so it's like a car body primer, something along those lines.
Yeah, you can get those from various different places. Obviously, there's one specifically for miniatures, which are a bit thinner, so you're not kind of giving it such a massive coat and obscuring details, that sort of stuff.
But you could absolutely do this stage in with a rattle can. I'm actually struggling a little bit, but I think it's more my airbrush is being a bit. I think it might be a little while since I cleaned it.
Just a side note, anybody, if you are hearing the slightly ethereal, ghostly noise, that's Matt's airbrush. He's not about to be abducted by aliens. Just in case you're wondering about that noise.
Yeah.
Or at least I don't believe so. If there are sort of flashing lights outside, Matt, then let us know. We've already cut off the stream. Save watching you be abducted live. Daniel, there is a little bit of sub-assembly on this model, but there's actually an instruction manual which comes in the expansion. I honestly can't recall. It's been a little while since I've seen that. I believe it's the disc launcher, certainly. I think maybe there's one other piece, but I'd need to check which belt that is. And if we do have one of our production people jumps in chat at some point, I know Wendy might be floating around somewhere. I'm sure they'll correct me if I'm wrong or help out.
All right, Right, so we're getting somewhere. Normally my airbrush has got a bit more flow in it, so I think I need to put it in its sonic bath when I've finished here.
Which I mentioned airbrushes and witchcraft earlier on. Sonic baths actually are witchcraft, everybody.
I'll tell you what is witchcraft. I bought some of those magic sponges you can get off eBay or Amazon to clean my golf clubs. I've read somewhere that they're really good at getting kind of scuff marks out, and I bought them. They are just a plain white sponge. You soak them in a bit of water and you rub it on stuff, and it just comes up sparkling new. It is literally a magic sponge.
What's the science behind it?
I don't know. I don't know if it's kind of impregnated with some kind of amazing chemical or whether it's the surface, but they seem to partially disintegrate as you're rubbing the whatever it is you're cleaning.
Right.
So I guess it's like maybe it's got like a little bit of rubbing compound or something in it. I don't know.
I mean, how many uses do you think you'll get out of each sponge?
Each sponge cleaned about 4 or 5 golf clubs before it kind of disintegrated. They weren't expensive. They were like £4 for 10 or something.
It's not too bad.
But then I've used them on, like, you know, we've got like a wooden dining table, and I was just sort of rubbing at the table just to see what happens, and now I've bloody got a clean spot on the table, so now I don't have to do the whole table.
Right. Okay, cool. We've also got we have a bit of an all-star cast here today. We've got Doug in the chat as well. As a slight note, though, dragging us slightly back to the actual stream. Doug is one of our artists, or is our artist. Everybody who's not familiar with his work. So anything you'd have seen on God Tier or Guild Ball or several other bits and pieces that we have, it's an art for, including some bits and pieces I think for this project as well. I think some of the bandits were Doug.
He definitely worked with Gorilla when he did a lot of concept art for Killzone.
Very, very talented man. He wants to know who TJ is because it's written on the base of the model.
TJ. Honestly, I don't know. Let's just.
It could be that little dude standing next to Matt's keyboard, maybe.
That's TJ.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. That's probably close enough, I think. And that's nothing to do with my attention deficit. Alright, let's just give the airbrush a little bit of a rinse through. Still not entirely sure why it's not blowing particularly well, but we'll struggle on.
Persevere.
You know, things that we do. So we are playing a little bit of Resident Evil in a short while, aren't we?
We are indeed. We're up to scenario 7A. We've actually managed to, for those of you who know Resident Evil, we've started out in the police station. We fought our way all the way through there until that basically trying to stop the zombies from getting in, until eventually it became impossible to do so. Then Matt had this amazing idea that it would be much safer to go through the sewers. So we jumped into there. You know, in the darkness, it's much nicer than it is obviously in a police station that's well lit above. And we've come out the other side into the marshalling yard and are now descending into the labs, which is cool.
So all of these things are good. Right, okay, so airbrush, I've just given it a quick rinse, just to clean between the black and the white. Oh, sorry Teddy, I didn't realise you were down there, spraying the dog. He is not happy.
Yeah.
Right, so basically, on a big model like this, you could go for a grey if you wanted to now. So you could grab something like a Steinler grey. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to bypass that and go straight to a white. I'm quite tempted to go. I'm going to go Steinler white. This is made by the same people who make Badger airbrushes. So this primer is designed for airbrushes. So, and then I'm probably going to do some spot highlights with with like a Liquitex white. So this is the sort of Zenithal 101 is I want the light to come down. So I want to get an overall Zenithal shade or a global light. And then what I will do is I'll then put some pin lights onto some of the areas. And if you look at the Thunderjaw reference, like the top parts of the thighs are going to get some attention. Certainly the top part of the carapace here and the rocket launchers. And then we'll do some glow on the interior of the mouth. So I'm just going to go for a general spray. I'm spraying from about that far away, and I'm just lightly keeping the airbrush in roughly the same level, and I'm looking to just build this up. And I start at the higher points and then work my way down. And this is the best thing about acrylic paint is it's translucent, so we can build this up slowly as we go. And again, you can do this with a rattle can. You just need to find one that has a decent nozzle on it, because I'm not really utilising a lot of the fine control that the airbrush gives you yet, but I will be.
It's also nice to see how much more of the detail kind of really comes out. I always appreciate when you undercut a miniature like this and you really start to see a lot of the details sort of picked out by this.
Yeah. Well, do you know why that is?
Matt, go on. I'm sure you can educate all of us with this.
So it's the nature of the material. So most PVCs are slightly translucent. So that means that at its thinnest, it is more see-through. So if you've got a corner like this, actually it'd probably be easier for me to draw it. So imagine you've got a sharp edge like this on a model. If it's translucent at its thinnest part is here, which actually means that this part of the model you can't see, which is why you end up with things looking so soft and rounded. But then the minute your eye just kind of finishes the detail off and you go, oh, that doesn't look very sharp. And the minute you then spray it and remove the translucent property, you suddenly see a sharp edge. There you go. Probably, do you know what? Halfway through that, I suddenly felt like, oh, thanks for that. I suddenly felt like my dad explaining something to me.
I won't worry too much. It's not dissimilar to it's not too dissimilar to a principle that of somehow when it comes to upscaling high definition television and that sort of stuff, which I could very easily bore you about one day. So I won't necessarily dive into that one.
Right.
But that's got a very similar principle of the amount of lines you have on the screen and so on. Yeah, this is really starting to look awesome now.
Just picking it through. So yeah, I'm really just coming at it from one particular angle all the way around. But what we will do is, and you can do this with a rattle can as well. But we'll start showing how we're going to use the actual surface property. The physical kind of side of things to get better effects. Alright, let's just clean that off because white always seems to clog.
Is it the pigment is deeper or denser?
Yeah, I think it just kind of dries quicker, so it ends up drying quite a bit on the needle.
Right. We've got a quick question about someone about the about late pledges. People who late pledged waiting for the Kickstarter invite. I believe I'll check with my colleagues in support. You should receive something through, I imagine, in a short while. If you don't, use the Steamforged Games support hub, which you can just get by typing into Google SFG support hub, and contact our team there, and they should come back to you with bits and pieces you might need. So don't wait around forever for that one if it doesn't turn up. In terms of the rulebook query about a PDF copy of the final rulebook, I know we have a PDF copy from a little while back we put up. I don't know if we're going to be able to host another one or host the rulebook. purely on the basis that obviously we need to discuss, as you can imagine with everything, with Sony and Gorilla about that one. So I don't know. Obviously, we can ask by all means. We'll just have to see where we get to with it. So it's not quite so easy as just saying, sure, we can drop it in there. If that makes sense.
Yeah. All right.
And Russ is confirming about the pigment, by the way.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah, pigment particles are larger apparently. The most white clogs more often because white pigment particles are larger than most.
Okay. I don't know why Russ doesn't just dive into the Zoom call.
That's a good point, Russ. Why don't it's the normal link I believe that Matt uses. So if you want to jump in, then you can.
Yeah, it's my normal
let's have some facts.
Let's have some facts instead of my made-up mumbo jumbo.
Yeah.
Right. So now I'm just starting to. So this is a secondary light. So I'm starting to put a little bit more. I guess they're more like fill lights now. So I've got my overall global light, and now I'm looking to start blocking out areas that I think are going to be interesting. To kind of draw the eye to it.
A hot update on Russ's current situation, Matt. Just for he's apparently I think he's practicing for Great British Bake Off. He's currently baking a lemon drizzle cake, so won't be able to join us this time.
Oh, okay.
He's gone all Paul Hollywood.
You never want to go full Hollywood, though.
No. Well,
that's what I've heard.
As long as he doesn't take his hat off, I'm sure he'll be fine from going full Hollywood.
Right.
Stormbird is sorry, go Matt. You, I'm sure I had.
No, I was just sort of. I was doing what cricket commentators do, which is just slightly filling while I'm kind of finishing off. That actually looks really good on screen, doesn't it?
It looks amazing.
Yeah.
Sorry, just quickly, I'll do a little bit of filler for you. So, did I understand it correctly that the Stormbird is the largest of the bunch, or it's just larger than the Thunderjaw? I believe the Stormbird. I mean, it's slightly subjective. The main trunk, obviously, the main body of the Stormbird is slightly smaller than obviously the size of Thunderjaw, but it has two huge wings. So that the overall model is larger, and that would make it the largest one. But you're going to find that the Thunderjaw and I believe the Fireclaw are a bit more densely packed in terms of the actual sizing.
So this little cylinder here, I want to really give a highlight on this top edge. I know that I'm going to be putting this is going to be quite bright white and yellow. So what I'm going to do is use the airbrush, and I'm going to angle the airbrush like this. So I'm literally just skidding off the top, and then I'm just pulling it away in order to sort of smooth it down the side of the cylinder. So this is what I did with the Shell Walker, if you remember, was create that sort of modulated feel. So again, with this bit here, I'm just working my airbrush up to the top and then just pulling it away, and then that creates like a transition that doesn't actually affect the other side of it. So now I've got a bright spot there. The next surface I want is to be quite dark next to it. So I'm just going to pull this down and give myself like a little edge there. Do you see that? And then on the other side I'm going to go at the opposite corner, and that just helps sort of round that whole shape out here. So that's kind of the name of the game at the moment, is just going through pulling these edges giving it a bit of highlight. Okay, we will finish off with this. I think I'm kind of happy with this. So now I'm going to go to a white ink, which is a so this is a Liquitex acrylic ink. I'm just going to remove as much of that as I can. I'm not too worried about being... So this ink is just a little bit brighter, and then we can go in and put some spot highlights in, and then that is then ready to start taking some paint. And what we'll do with the Liquitex ink is we'll start making sure that the panels that are going to be white on the model are definitely a little bit more solidly covered. Okay. So on the head, again, I'm going to angle it away from the tips of the edges, and I'm just trying to catch the very edge. Yeah, see that? And it just kind of gives it like a little bit of a glow. So these flat panels on the top here, I'm going to angle down those. So I'm just catching the top corner, and that gives me like a little bit of a modulated feel to it.
Yeah, it's very smart.
Like that.
Yep.
And then same with these guys. Just going to give them a little bit of a spray across that top edge. And then that should start picking that out. Same with this, with like the jaw structure. The thunder part, as I like to call it.
Yeah, which you can actually, for future reference, for gameplay spoiler, you can blast off of this machine during fighting it if you need to. If you don't want to get hit by those lovely machine guns attached to its mouth.
You do not want to get hit.
No, the damage. To give you a rough idea of the damage output of this thing compared to what we had in our last stream, so we were kind of a bit nervous about an enemy attack that hit you twice and did 5 damage each time. A Thunderjaw will hit you more likely with those 2 guns for 8 damage each, and will probably make more than a couple of strafing runs as one behavior.
Yeah.
These are very dangerous, very, very dangerous on the table.
They are definitely lethal. Right, just working my way up the spine of the model now, just making sure I've got everything highlighted the way I want to. I'm not getting any spray coming through. No, there you go, that'd be why. Got a big old blob or something. So the only downside with this Steinerez stuff is because it's got like it's like a plastic kind of finish to it. You end up with it drying with like a plasticky sort of film. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is why I tend to do all this stuff off camera. But it's kind of interesting if you've never seen it before, I guess. Comment below. Tell us if you enjoy seeing me trying to clean plastic gloop out my nozzle.
In the meantime, while people are furiously typing about that, Nick has we've got a query from Nick Rock, which is that he's never painted miniatures before, but would like to give it a go for this game. That's awesome. Painting miniatures is super fun, very relaxing, and awesome fun.
Yeah.
If you're looking to get started, is there any advice you'd recommend? Any good kits with paint and brushes?
So depending on where you are in the world, I think the easiest answer for me will be pop into your local Games Workshop store. They have perfectly decent set of brushes. They certainly have a wide range of paints and starter sets in there to get you going.
Quick side note, Matt, I think your stream camera is frozen.
Oh, okay. Let me restart that camera.
I'll just echo what Matt's doing while he's doing that, which is that I agree that the GW stuff is really good for getting uniform colours, that if you need to replace one, then it's easy to find. They're not terribly expensive in the grand scheme of things. That's better, it's all working in there, Matt.
Yeah. If not, well, on top of that, other awesome places to check out. There's painters are really friendly and almost always willing to share whatever knowledge they've got. Check out YouTube like Marco Frisone. I love his stuff. It's very watchable and very followable. He has it's more on color theory, which I think is a really important part of painting. So he's definitely a good guy to watch. On Twitter, there's people like Gorilla with a Brush. He's always a good guy to follow. Paints some amazing stuff. See how I've filled that kind of panel in now? I know that's going to be mostly white, so I'm saving myself like a bit of brush work just by making sure my panels are going to be white. I'll got more than just the base coat. So let's have a look at this. So this leg looks pretty good already, right? With the shading and the crispiness. The bit that I want to keep your eye on is this edge here down the side. I want to keep this dark and keep the contrast. So I'm going to lighten this panel here, and I'm going to lighten this panel here. And in doing so, it will make that contrast feel a bit darker, even though I haven't actually sprayed any dark paint on. So let's go for a little bit of white along that edge, using that same technique where I'm just blowing over the side. And now we're going to come inside, and I'm just going to spray just down here, just to kind of highlight this edge. And now it's made that look a lot darker. Weird, isn't it? Optical illusion.
Yeah, it still works though. That's the whole point, isn't it? Contrast is the name of the game. Contrast is
the name of the game. The best example I ever used is my old Labrador. Was he was very white, wasn't he? I mean, technically he was a yellow, but he was you would say he was snow white until you actually see him in the snow, and then you noticed that it was actually a yellow. And it's yeah, just a really good example of how colours can contrast with each other, not just light and dark.
Yeah, it's also as well some of the other stuff you're doing as well. This came up when we were looking at the Shell Walker last time around, but you can really notice not so much on this stream necessarily, but if you actually have the miniature in front of you with the belly, which I imagine you've mostly left purely black, and that will really jump out on contrast when you actually have it on the table, because that sort of darker shady area will immediately start to feel much more like it gives you a real contrast between the areas you can see and the areas you don't see.
Yeah.
Something that's always important with a lot of this sort of stuff is kind of thinking about how does the light hit, from above, from the sun or whatever else. How does the light hit this miniature? How do you give it a more natural look? And it sort of tells a story almost.
Yeah, no, exactly. Right, so I'm pretty much done with that side of things. So let's have a look at him from this side. So yeah, as you can see, pretty much black underneath, and then if we rotate round to the top, pretty much white across the top, and then if we look at the sides, that's when we start getting all the glorious detail that we've managed to squeeze into these minis. Couldn't be happier with the way that looks, and if you are one of those people who have backed the Kickstarter to an appropriate level to get one of these guys, well, you're in for a treat when this turns up. I mean, I'd be happy to stick that up on my my display shelf of cool nerd toys that I have. But we're going to put some paint on it.
Well, I was about to say, I think honestly, this works as, if nothing else, this almost works as a display piece alone, even if you don't actually want to use it for miniature games. Just side note, so if you are Horizon Zero Dawn backer and you haven't got the Thunderjaw expansion, but after seeing this you are pretty excited about it, you can still add it to your pledge. Pledge Manager is open for existing backers until the end of the month, so no worries with that one.
Very cool. Right, I'm gonna fiddle because I can't help myself. I just want a couple of little spot highlights where this white's gonna go.
Much like the gameplay, what I think we're all seeing now, viewers, is the part where Matt kind of goes really excited. I really just want to carry on playing and painting these models. Because ultimately Horizon's such a cool game. I think it draws you in like that.
I know every time that we've played in the last week or so, I finish going, oh man, I kind of, is it wrong for us to kind of play one more round, and then I look at, oh no, we've only got an hour.
Yeah, it's just like that. It's like anybody who's ever played a Civilization game. It's like the one more turn, and then you look up, it's like 2 in the morning.
Yeah, or Football Manager used to get me as well.
Yeah.
Alright, I am pretty happy with that. So, I'll probably try and paint, probably do another hour on this this model on the stream at some point in time, start getting some colour in. I might do the boring bit and do the blacking out bit first, just so that's done and dry and out of the way, and then we can then focus on finishing the model off. So, next time you see, it'll probably have some kind of base colour on, and then we'll finish it off, because there's lots of opportunity for some really cool weathering on this mini, and I do like grimy and gritty stuff. So Just fiddling. Right, I should stop fiddling and concentrate on what I'm doing. I'm probably going to carry on fiddling about that for about another 10 minutes or so for no discernible benefit
off camera.
Oh, I think my camera's frozen again. Right, so that is probably a good time to say, why is my camera freezing? That doesn't bode well for the Resident Evil stream. But we will try and work out what's going on. Let's have one last little look at this guy. I think everyone who's watching will agree that Russ and the sculpting team have done a phenomenal job of capturing the detail. The guidance from Roy up at Gorilla has made sure that this is as close and as accurate as it possibly can be to the actual model. We were lucky enough to get access to the 3D meshes that the Gorilla themselves created. So we are confident that this is as accurate as you can possibly get at this scale. So get your hands on one of these. If you joined us with the late pledge, or you've already gone all in, you are very lucky. And if you haven't, you've only got to wait a little while into next year for the retail release, and you'll be able to pick this up at your friendly local game store.
Yeah.
I'm now thinking that we should try and play the scenario at some point in time.
Yeah, if you want to see us get murdered horribly, everybody, then you absolutely can do that. I mean, the way that, to be fair, the way that it's set up is we can bolt it onto the end of our current quest. So we can actually get killed by this thing live on stream if we want to, very easily, probably within the next few streams.
So there is a little bit of talk about yellow in the chat. You tune in next time, and I'll give you a top tip on how to paint yellow. And weirdly, it involves the colour pink. And on that note, I'm going to say thanks ever so much for joining us this Saturday afternoon. The sun is shining. Well, certainly is here in the centre of the universe, also known as Essex. So I'm going to go and well, actually, no, we're going to go and play Resident Evil, aren't we? And then I'm going to go and start getting the barbecue ready for this evening.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, anybody I've seen a couple of Resident Evil people in the stream, so welcome. We'll see you in not too long when we go live.
Cool.
But, yeah.
Any chats?
I think we've addressed most of it as we've gone along.
Airbrush from Doug. So, so the best way is the very best way is with a water bath. So you can buy baths and use a ultrasonic cleaning solution, and these are just like little baths, cost about 20 quid. You strip it all down, put it in there, pour solution on it, press the button, and it cleans your airbrush for you. That is the best way to do it. Other than that, good old-fashioned elbow grease, I guess, with airbrush thinner and cleaning brushes and stuff. But I'm lazy. I just whack it all in the ultrasonic bath and let it go through a couple of cycles. Cool. Gameplay stream. Definitely going to be Wednesday.
Yep.
Is what we're aiming for. And I can do an update on where we've got to with the Thunderjaw in that stream.
Yeah. So we normally go live about 8 o'clock-ish, 8:30 thereabouts, I think, for these ones.
Yeah, we'll aim for 8:30, and that lets me get my dinner all done and washed up and all that kind of jazz. So I can't wait to paint this. Cool. All right, I'm gonna press the stop button. Thanks ever so much, guys.